Engineer Dr. Lee Biwa.
Sir, MND's vision is an enduring home, a distinctive global city. That is its true aim. And this makes a concrete difference to Singaporeans every day. However, there are some times when its own rules get in the way of this mission. Let me raise a few examples. I'm glad of the new housing grants for singles to buy resale flats to live with or near their parents. But there are those singles who can only afford a two-room BTO. These singles still face a long waiting time. We must not forget, for every average waiting time, there are those that apply many, many times and are still unsuccessful. Can we build more two-room flexi flats? Sometimes it is not about the lack of flats, but rather HDB processes that prolong the process. One resident buying a balanced flat told me that it took 8 months from the time of application, and yet the sale is still not transacted. After 8 months, he is told to wait another 6 weeks for the grant process. Perhaps there should be a review of the whole HDB application process to see how it could be streamlined and speeded up. Is the delay due to a shortage of manpower or excessive paperwork asking for information after information, or staff resign and documents left in the tray unattended? There was a case last night. A resident told me that she applied for HLE since February last year and still no news. Another rule which I feel needs review is not granting HIP to flats built after 1986. The HIP scheme started in 2007. Then the flats built in 1986 were 21 years old. Today, the flats built in 1987 are 31-year-old, a full decade older. But they still don't qualify for HIP. About half of Nee Soon South was built in 1987. So I can see that these flats need urgent repair. HIP will allow residents to do this at low cost and continue aging in place. May I also suggest we learn from previous batches of HIP and fine-tune the detailing. One such example is clothes hanging racks. Many residents also ask why we did not replace rotting timber at the opening for the air conditioners. It is very expensive for residents to do it individually. There's economy of scales when done during HIP. Next, I would like to reiterate the difficulties faced in some repairing or construction in landed properties. Not everyone is amenable to a neighbor's request to allow the workmen to carry out repair work such as plastering on the neighbor's site. Will the ministry consider a law where residents are required to allow access to carry out certain types of repairs or construction work? Next, I would like to move on to feeding of animals in housing estates. There is a growing trend for people to feed strays, especially stray cats in housing estates. But one has to exercise some responsibility when feeding these strays and clear up the food left behind. Otherwise, this will result in breeding of pigeons, rats, and pests. I understood from NEA the authorities do not consider it littering unless the food is left there for more than 2 hours. Why does NEA bother to spend valuable time and limited resources to monitor for 2 hours? By then, the feeders are nowhere to be found. Will the ministry consider introducing stricter laws on animal feeding in public areas? Lastly, I'm glad to hear of the setting up of infrastructure office to tap on infrastructure opportunities in Asia. I would like to urge government to give local consultants and contractors more opportunities to participate in large government-led projects in Singapore so that they can build their track record. After all, without track record, how can they venture overseas? I was told that some of the pre-qualifications called for government projects are so onerous that none of the local contractors or consultants can qualify. In cases like that, has government thought of how to involve the local companies instead of just having them as smaller players down the value chain? Thank you.